1995, Resident Evil changed horror games forever. Story and scare factor captivated millions. As a kid, I remember seeing the part at the very beginning of the first game where the Jogs jumped through the glass window. It was fucking awesome. I remember I looked up to my older brother and asked them what game that was. And that was when I was first introduced to Resident Evil. Of course, with this epic game, a sequel was to come, a successor to improve on everything that the first lacked. And in fact it did. On January 21st, 1998, Resident Evil 2 was released in North America, and holy shit was it good. This final version isn't what I remember seeing in magazines as a kid. And so in today's video, we'll be discussing the beta of Resident Evil 2, which many refer to as Resident Evil 1.5. The development of Resident Evil 2 began as soon as profits began to be seen from the first Resident Evil. These images are among the earliest known to exist of the Resident Evil 2 beta. They were unveiled at the Tokyo Game Show in 1996. Now I want to give full credit to Bioflames.com for uploading this 1996 presentation in its entirety. This would be the first time Resident Evil 2 would be shown to the public, and also shows the early renditions of what Leon could have looked like. Beta of Resident Evil 2 is particularly special because there weren't just a few little things that were different, but the whole entire story of the game was changed. In this beta, you took control of Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie cop who barricaded himself along with other civilians inside the Raccoon City Police Department. The reason for this is because after the Umbrella Corporation was accused of biological weapon engineering, the company was taken to court and its owners and workers were all jailed. As a last-ditch effort of rage, the CEO, Oswald E. Spencer, decided to unleash the T-Virus on the citizens of Raccoon City. Leon also had help by a biker enthusiast and college student at Raccoon University by the name of Elza Walker, who had just crashed her bike through the barricade of the Raccoon City Police Department. The two characters were to meet halfway along their trip through the police department and the sewers. Now, obviously the characters went through several changes as well. Leon at first looked very similar to Chris Redfield with a buzz cut, first sporting a plain t-shirt and then moving on to a more tactical SWAT-like uniform. But soon after, the idea was dumped, and they decided to give him a part in his hair, and so the final version of Leon was born. Ada Wong was also non-existent in this early version. Instead, Marvin Branagh was intended to play the role that was given to Ada as a supporting character. It was unclear as to what his motives in the game were, but one can only speculate. Claire Redfield, as you can see, was also non-existent in this build of the game. In her place was Elza Walker. It is to speculate that her main role in the game was to save Sherry and eventually escape with Leon, similar to Claire, but that's really all that's known. The most interesting concept about Elsa's story is that she had a male companion that she also met along her journey, named John, who was a playable character as well. This John was the same John from the letters of the first game, and was infected with the T-Virus, so it was clear that he would eventually die. He would aid Elsa throughout the game, and there would eventually be a choice given to keep him alive or let him die. Now eventually this character became the gun shop owner from the final version. Leon would also be given a female support character as well, known as Linda. She was an Umbrella scientist, though no true motive of her journey through the game would be unveiled. As opposed to the final version, it was also Annette Birkins who infected herself with the G-Virus, rather than her husband William. The zombies in the beta had much more detail and characteristics to individualize them. Clothes and features such as skeleton arms and being set on fire. Now, unfortunately, this was too RAM intensive to handle, and it caused other gameplay aspects to bug out. It is said that this concept was later used in the Dead Rising franchise. In the beta build of the game, the zombies will not die unless their heads were blown off, and they were also able to climb up surfaces. Now it's unknown if these were just glitches or if this was some sort of hard mode concept. Among with other unused enemies were the Chimera, which was a half-human, half-spider creature. It was said that these were supposed to replace the Lickers. And according to sources, there were going to be G-Virus infected baboons, as well as infected gorillas that would hang from the ceiling and try to kill you. It is unclear why the gorillas never made it to the game, because they seem to be finished in the beta version with full animation and sound, though my guess is probably because they were too much like the hunters. I think that the most interesting unused enemy is this tyrant, which was set loose to kill all the survivors of the city. This tyrant would be canned but later revived as Nemesis in Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 2 was also planned to have an armor system. The player could find and equip body armor in order to resist more attacks from zombies. Among some of the gear was this cool looking Umbrella Security Service costume. The later games of the franchise would implement this idea as to upgrade weapons and gear. Now, this version of the game was about 70% complete when Capcom decided to pull the plug and start from complete scratch, only salvage a few concepts left. It isn't to too much grief because the final version of Resident Evil 2 was fucking awesome. And with Capcom announcing that a remake of Resident Evil 2 was being developed, one can only hope that they would re-implement some of these lost concepts, and maybe even Elsa. Now in early 2013, the beta of Resident Evil 1.5 was leaked online for all to play and witness. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beta of Resident Evil 2. Thank you guys for watching, and check out my other videos of unreleased games. I recently covered the unreleased Resident Evil Game Boy Color game. I'll see you all next time.